So, Mr. Weim time, tell me what's on your mind.
Well, Wolf, ever since I hit the big 100,000 subscribers, I've been getting a lot of people asking me, how did you do it? So I thought I'd chat with a fellow YouTuber who seems to also know the ins and outs of YouTube success. Basically, my point of discussion today is production ethics and the big question of making a career out of YouTube. What are your initial thoughts, Wolf?
Well, I imagine that many of the bigger YouTube channels out there never believed they'd ever garner as much attention as they have. It's really been a learning experience for all of us. And in many ways, I imagine we're still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. May I ask what sort of questions you had in mind when it comes to production ethics?
Well, if YouTube revolves around production, one must know the ethics, or do's and don'ts, to make their videos a success. So from what I've learned in project management school, whenever you start a project, or in this case a channel with videos for YouTube, your first question is always, what need am I trying to meet here? Because if there's no need or desire for what you want to produce, why bother, am I right? So Wolf, tell us from your perspective, what is the first thing a person should do when they are thinking of starting a channel or video with the intention of going far with it?
Well, I'd have to say the very first thing that comes to mind is to love what you do. Be passionate for what you create. Fulfilling a need that others are looking for really is essential if you want to go far, but if you aren't enjoying what you create, then you'll get burned out far more quickly than you might think, popularity or not. And inevitably, the work will suffer because of it. I can remember noticing when trying to put together my first video that no one else was really talking about a specific character in a positive light, and I suppose I was fulfilling a need in that way. But for months beforehand, I had already been spending a lot of my free time pondering the characters and stories in MLP, and rather enjoying possibilities for the show's future. It's fun for me. But then again, I know that I'm filling a niche within a niche within a niche in my work, and I can't honestly expect that it'll keep growing forever. I imagine that your projects are actually serving more of a wider purpose, Weim. What motivated you to get started?
Simply put, the need. I saw a need that needed to be met, being the lack of MLP-themed music on sheet music and MIDI format for people to learn. And many people might say, people don't need those things. I would simply refute that by saying the psychological effect music has on us says otherwise. Let me tell you a little story about why I started music. At age 19, I was diagnosed with severe psychosis after a long period of testing by a series of doctors. What is psychosis, you ask? Well, psychosis is a mental disease that distorts the physical and mental reality of the person suffering from it. In plain words, hallucinations, paranoia, and severe melancholy whenever the brain feels depressed or stressed out. Now, I'm not going to make this a sob story about me, come on. But the reason I got into music and eventually video production was to counter this disease. After all, music has been scientifically proven to increase positive chemical production in the brain. It worked for me, and it was a need that I met. Was it perfect? Absolutely not, and I'm not going to lie and say music is some kind of miracle treatment. It is only one piece to the puzzle. So then I took what helped improve my life and tried to do the same for others. All in all, my motivation was to help those around me treat the mundaneness of life. Come on, we're humans. We're made to be musical for a reason. So I always argue that having music in your life is most certainly meeting a need. I can see you do a similar thing, Doc. You also help people with your sessions. Is that why you started?
Well, the A Moment with Dr. Wolf series really wasn't something I had been planning when I first started making videos. I simply discussed what I felt about MLP, paying closer attention to how it inspired the community surrounding it. And those who left comments in the early days kept mentioning how comfortable they felt when listening to my work, and even appreciated my outlook on MLP and life in general. After a while, a few people started referring to me as the psychologist for the Brony fandom, and that image just continued to spread. When a few of my fellow YouTubers suggested the idea that Dr. Wolf should be counseling others for future videos, it seemed like such a natural fit for me. I guess you could say I just sort of fell into this role. In your case, Weim, your work with music over the years has helped you gain a deep appreciation of its positive effects, and you wish to share that joy with those around you. In my case, I had discovered a talent I never really knew I had until others encouraged me to try something new. So really, I suppose we're both helping to fulfill a need in some small way, both for our audience and even for ourselves. Does that mean we had to have a large audience in order to enjoy or embrace these talents? Perhaps, perhaps not. I can't imagine either you or I would have become quite so driven in our work if few people ever took notice. But without that initial passion, I don't believe anyone could really keep up on YouTube in the long run. What say you, Weim?
I definitely agree. I do not want to insinuate that I'm some kind of big time channel, and that kind of moves into our next subtopic here of production ethics, and that is how to appropriate value to your work. I value my work because it helps others. However, I do not let social media define who I am. I've seen it happen so many times. People put all their cards of self-worth into their social media accounts, and the second it gets shot down by some critic, they're left crushed. A successful YouTuber is like a successful investor in that you don't put everything in one market. Rather, organize it into several markets. A smart investor warrants the proper attention to a channel, but gives other priorities in their life their due value. I guarantee that a healthy perspective on your YouTube channel is one of the biggest factors that defines its longevity. Dr. Wolf, we now know why you value your channel, and I know you have a career in the accounting field outside of your YouTube persona, as well as many other important things. You have met success in both fields. What warnings about self-worth and running a social media account do you have for us?
I honestly worry about anyone who's put all their stock in a YouTube career without any kind of backup plan. It's certainly fun and offers many opportunities that are quite difficult to find anywhere else. But it's volatile, unpredictable. Popularity on YouTube comes and goes according to the will of the masses, and people's interests can change on a dime. Starting a trend can net you near instant success, yet sometimes holding on to a trend can unexpectedly turn the public against you if you aren't careful. I much prefer to have something stable and dependable as my primary focus in life, like my career and my family. I believe that can help a great deal when there's a sudden change in the wind, so to speak. YouTube is a fantastic starting ground for an explosion of creativity, education, and entertainment, and I'll continue to support its spread across the internet. But I worry about those who trust their fate entirely within the YouTube system. Wouldn't want to put all your eggs in one basket after all. What do you think, Weim?
Well, I put all my trust in something everlasting. I have religious ideals that go along the lines of eternal living, and when it comes to production ethics, some of those ideals go hand in hand. So when a video of mine flops on YouTube, after I spent a couple $100s or more to make it, I am only crushed for a short time. It quickly goes away once I remember that there's a much bigger purpose in life. And trust me, I've had quite a few videos flop for a variety of reasons. I have even had a person take one of my assets and he made over $1,500 off of it. Was I mad? Absolutely. But because I only warrant my channel a minuscule part of my life, I was only mad for a short while. The funny thing is that I later became good friends with that guy, so it worked out well. But moving on, I guess the next point in our chart would be to discuss collaboration. Some of you might say that that sounds boring, but I assure you that the most successful channels on YouTube are overwhelmingly a collaborative effort. I mean, I have nothing against lone wolves, no pun intended, Doc, but I guarantee you will have a much better time in production when you have others to help carry the load. Every single one of my videos were a collaborative effort. My main partner, DJ Delta Zero, has helped me get pretty far with his channel. I could not have done this without him, and I cannot express the need for collaborative efforts enough. The things you need to remember when looking for teammates is, who are they, how will they help, and what are they going to get out of this? Oh, but Weim, that's greedy thinking. Wanting to make money off of projects is bad. Is it? I pay nearly everyone that works for me. Those that don't get paid in monetary means get compensated by other ways, like a t-shirt or a spot in the credits. People, hear me out. Compensating those who work for you goes a long way. I've seen it happen way too many times. Guys and gals quitting partway through a project because their method of, oh, I am just doing this to please insert person's name here, burns out. That mindset only goes so far. Experts in project management call this portion the storming phase, which is basically the testing of the integrity of the team. Most projects fail here. So Wolf, when it comes to building a project from a collaborative effort, what do you think is priority in that part of development?
That everyone is having fun and there's a significant drive to finish what's been started. The best videos always come from the crew that are enjoying the experience. While shooting for a massive project that involves tons of talented people, an entertaining premise, along with a wealth of art and animation, can occasionally result in an experience that everyone loves. More often than not, someone along the way isn't going to be all that motivated because they inevitably feel less important than other people working on the project. I tend to favor smaller projects because it's easier to manage and far more likely to have everyone satisfied with the end results. But I can still keep bigger projects going in the long term because the challenge actually helps me to grow. And I'd certainly agree that rejecting the possibility of collaborative projects just because they're hard will hurt your channel in the long run. No one gets big on YouTube without someone providing a helping hand along the way. And I tend to work with a lot of different people simply because so many want to have an opportunity to show what they can do. I've been immensely grateful for all those who helped me grow when I was just starting out, and I want to help as many as I can get their initial start as well. Any final thoughts before we close out for the day, Weim?
Yeah, now many of you may be asking, what does this have to do with making a career? Well, first off, making a career out of YouTube does not always mean making YouTube your sole form of work and income. Come on, let's be honest. That can be pretty stupid for some of us. Even though I turned my channel into a business recognized by the US, it does not make it a career for me. I implore people, rather than telling yourself, when I grow up, I want to be a famous YouTuber, to say, I'm going to use YouTube to grow in my skills so that one day I can use it in a career that contributes to society. That, my friends, is wise thinking. I started Weim Time back in 2011. Since then, I've made nearly $40,000 from it. That's not a lot considering it's been 5 years now. Even today, I take almost everything I make off the channel and reinvest back into it by making more videos or improving the business. Recently, I was offered an internship by a guy who found out I started a business off of YouTube. On top of that, Weim Time LLC was recently contracted to do some animation work for a graphic design company here in Illinois. We have also made a good amount of money off of endorsements. All in all, YouTube has taught me nearly just as much about project management as I've learned from attending school. And I have over 4 years of school under my belt so far. So, when beginning a YouTube video project, ask yourself if you are meeting a need, how valuable the project is, and who is going to help you with it to achieve your goals. Those are the primary production ethics that have gotten me where I am today. I could go on for another hour to talk details, but the wolf here has a life, unlike me. If you want to know more about how I do things, feel free to drop by on Skype or email to chat. I'm always open to discussing this topic. Any closing remarks from you, Wolf?
Well, I'm glad to see that YouTube has been so helpful for you, Weim. I hope these words will encourage others to grow their channels with the right goals in mind. Thank you for taking the time to talk about these matters, and here's looking forward to what YouTube can bring us in the future. And as always, I am Dr. Wolf, and we look forward to hearing from you.